Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is a channeled message. It's going to be more specific as you have seen in the title. It's a reading of the Domovoy. I wasn't planning on doing readings. I just finished this month's readings for the Zodiac, but I did receive a couple messages. So when I was, or signs and messages, when I was sleeping, I had a dream that a person with the name America was in the dream, and being told that their identity is being protected because they're maybe in the public eye, or there's something that they're doing that is of the public eye. And then before I woke up, I get a lot of visions between me sleeping and waking up. I had a vision of an American Girl doll, and I opened my eyes, and the Domovoy was by my bedside. Now, as I have mentioned in the previous Domovoy reading, I um, feel that the Domovoy is more to itself, and it was almost as if not wanting to scare me and then not wanting really to interrupt me, but in their own way, because I could have been called by my name, but I was called like American Girl, and saying to um, that the reading needs to be done now. And the dream also depicted large, giant dryads, and it was interesting because the trees were in the human world, and they kind of just intertwine and interact. But these were so noticeably massive. They were like the size of large buildings or even mountains because they reach so high in the sky that I remember in my dream I was like taking pictures of them because I was like that um they're so ginormous. And I I feel like I have been getting some messages in real life about the trees too, because there has been a specific leaf that has been, I suppose, coming up to me. And so I was going to Lidl, I was picking something up, and I live in the city, so we don't really have a lot of trees, and um, it was a lot of pavement and nothing really in the parking lot. And this leaf came from behind the building, and the wind was blowing it, and I noticed it initially, but it dropped right in front of me as I was walking, like in my face, and it took me by surprise a little bit because I wasn't expecting it to go right in front of me. And I was like, I just went about my day. And the next day, there was another leaf inside of the pharmacy, like right, not directly at the door, but as you go further in, and it was the only leaf there. So I was taking it as a sign, So I have been getting visions lately too, and this is part of the reading. So it's already 5 minutes in. I'll pull out the cards too, and that'll be a portion of the reading. But I do have some other things to say that for the last couple of days I was wondering about these visions because they were very specific and a lot of them weren't super happy, if you will, because one of them is something that keeps coming back up and up. And it is a vision or a memory when I watched Crimson Peak, and it's one of those um, shows on Netflix where it it's so psychologically kind of disturbing that um, it sticks with you, but it's also one where I was like, I kept getting Crimson Peak, Crimson Peak, as if the person that's the main character, she also had a warning from a spirit of Crimson Peak, like beware of Crimson Peak, and then she didn't. Um, she went through life, and then all of a sudden, um, she was in Crimson Peak and didn't realize it until someone was telling her the person that she ended up marrying after her father was murdered, and um, it was sad and then disturbing too because it was a brother and sister who had an abusive upbringing and they found comfort through intimacy. So there was already something there. And then the brother would get married to people for the money to help their property thrive again, but there was so much destruction and death on their property that it just kept getting worse and worse, as if the land wasn't well anymore. And um, she thought it was for love, and then he eventually fell in love with her. But basically, the image that I was getting in my head was the main character. She was in bed because the sister was gradually poisoning her for various reasons because of the money and being in love. So, sorry. And then luckily, the guy that has always been in love with her um, uh, rescued her from the situation. And the guy that she was married to fell in love with her towards or the end and saved her too before his sister murdered her. So it does feel like there's a significance to that, or to be able to help somebody get out of a dire situation. And it doesn't need to be as disturbing as that situation, but it does feel like there's a lot of emotional, mentally unhealthy ties to something, specifically something, and almost being stuck in an area once they realized the warning that they got before. And it kind of feels like it linked to the visions and the dreams that I had when I first encountered Baba Yaga. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but when I first encountered her, the dreams that I had, um, and to note that when I first was about to connect to her, I made an altar and I had my cow that's blue and yellow on the altar. I had holy water. Um, there's something about it that was more angelic. I had my angel statue, one of my angel statues that was gifted to me, and I had a booklet that was also gifted to me by the same person. It was somebody's grandmother of a booklet like Angels, Love from Above, and I just kept it there. Uh, so that night, the dreams were so intense. It was the first time I've ever like screamed myself awake, and the visions were me seeing so much death. And it wasn't like hell or otherworldly, it was on earth. Like the visions were of the earth. So much fire, and it wasn't just death one by one by one. It was like death like 5, 7, 15, 30, 70, 150. It was so, it was large amounts. And just remember fire and torture and death. And then the next day, because I didn't have the same vision, next day I woke up like 3 o'clock and I was looking at a TV and it was in black and white. The scene was in black and white. It was like the news or something. And it was showing these refugees leaving somewhere. And it did a close up of an old woman. And it was and she was like gently smiling as if like, okay, I trust you. You may go on and pass. Because as I said, I feel like she opened my eyes up to her world. And I feel like it was kind of a premonition or like a sign that kind of goes into the present because I actually made a video of Baba Yaga and I put it as enlisted because I was told that not yet. It was like, okay. And I wasn't fully comprehending it, but I knew what the vision was, but it was like almost it wasn't the right time to know everything. And my guides are even saying because this happens too. They're like she doesn't know, does she? And I'm like, I guess in time. So it almost looks like it was a vision of cultural genocide. And that's what clicked with me. And um again with the guy that was always in love with her, it almost feels like being able to help somebody in that time. And before I was gonna film the reading and I was getting ready, I had another vision of as if people were watching you leave an area. It's almost like you're seeing a wall, and it could be like soldiers or something. And um, saying to somebody when we get here, just run. Don't look back. If you drop something that's like sentimental to you, just leave it there. Just keep running and get to the car and go, or get to the place that you need to go and go. That's like the energy that I was getting from it. Don't look back. Don't pick up like don't go back to there. Don't look like turn around and look back. Just keep running when the time is there. There's another vision of like the Four of Swords. You know, with the Four of Swords, traditionally it has somebody that's laying down almost like in how you do in like a coffin. And it just felt like there was some type of illness or mental instability that was going on there. And um, this is part of the message. And I will say that it'll be it won't be the happiest message, but it'll get you through those dark times, and I'll read the truth and I'm not going to hold back. Sometimes it is like some people don't want people to say what the truth is. Um, but I don't go down without a fight, and that's how it is. The decks that I'll be using, there's another vision that I had, but I'll bring it up in a little bit, is the Slavic Legends Tarot. This one is an interesting one because I've never read with this one before, but I've had it since 2017. And it was like, this is what you're reading. It's the Barbara Walker Tarot. This one won't have the happiest images in it. But I feel like, because I was getting that I'm more well-rounded than I was in 2017, and that's why I'm reading this deck. And I also asked my grandpa that passed, then why am I reading? And he said, because you have a love for humanity and you want to see the best, and you want to see things that are good come out of humanity. So that's what I'll be doing. I also have the Heaven and Earth Tarot. So we're going to be working with different realms and areas, and um, then the Tree Angel Oracle deck and the Fairy Wicca. It's in here. It's in one of my thrifted bags. And the vision that or the dreams that I got that night, it reminded me of a specific card in the Fairy Wicca Tarot. And it's the Judgment card. Uh, it is this one. And I don't know if it's graphic or not. So I'll start pulling out the cards. It's a lot of jittery energy, as if it's like from anxiety. And I am also getting like, if you pray or do incantations or meditations or spell work, whatever your thing is, it's really good to be able to do those things in like maybe somewhere where it's crowded or something, or an area where there's so much going on, and you could say those things so clearly, so confidently, so relentlessly, without hesitation. And there's going to be strength in that. And don't let the demons know your fears. That was another thing. If you, again, believe in that stuff too. Just in general terms. And to stand strong within your moral compass too. But to not act recklessly. Because when you center yourself, when you center your mind, when you're in a crowded room, but your mind is still calm and you're not affected by what's around you, you're able to think clearly, you're able to react clearly. Um, you're not gonna have as much impulsive reactions. I'm also getting like the sins, the original or first sin wasn't first made on earth. It was made in heaven. Again, if you are part of that religion. And again, this is taking teachings from different um, spiritualities. I really like the Tree Angel Oracle deck because it's pretty blunt for it being an angel deck. I say that about cats too. I really like cats because you'll know if they don't like you. And you feel kind of special when a cat does like you. Especially if they don't like everyone. Or most people. And I'm also getting like the words when I pulled out this card. It's the only card I turned over. Today is a day that you will live again. At the end, I'll read the message from the Oracle deck book. Yeah, with the U linking to time and the Norns, it just seems fitting because things that have happened way before, maybe even talking to somebody or knowing something or having any part of a situation, or if you're not part of a situation, being aware or having something being brought to you, it starts to make sense that things start linking together. And sometimes things are over your head, or maybe the guides know things and they tell you to do things or hint stuff to you, and you a lot of times just go with it because if you knew what you had to do or if you knew what was going to happen to get to the outcome of something, there'd be a chance that you might not do it. You might not agree to it. You'd just be like, I'm not fucking doing that. And there's also stuff that might be like preconceived if you believe in the soul contracts. Some Someone looks like they're trying to make a break for it. The Seven of Swords and the Five of Wands. That it's just so much going on around them. Even though it's the Wands, it does feel like it's amped up energy that's like overwhelming to them. That they kind of want to hide away from it. Or since it's nighttime, kind of like find a find like a safe haven. I'm also getting it's interesting. Um, if it has to do with money, with the Queen of Coins, the Queen of Pentacles, of having a lack, because the past is the Five of Cups, as well as the Knight of Wands. Maybe before impulsively spending or more carefree with what you're investing in. And that could be time and it could be like with your finances. That's one of the least of your concerns at this point, and it'll come together. So one of the things is to be able to do things and like if you have control over certain things in your life, then do those things. If you don't see how you can, but if it's not the time yet, then you can't rush time. Again, with you, things will start to move forward, and I'm getting that some things will be revealed in due time. And for those who are trying to get out of there, with the Seven of Swords and the Five of Wands, it's definitely likely because with the Queen of Coins, the Queen of Pentacles, clarifying that is the Six of Swords and the Four of Coins. Like, I can't make it up. It's just. And it also looks like with the mindset of being able to almost work backwards, and it's interesting. It's almost as if you're working backwards into from a better time, like a calmer, less stressful time. Maybe that's what you're reverting back to since the six is before the seven. And something in your past is helping you with your future. And somehow, some way, it kind of feels like almost as if, of course, you put in the work, but it's almost as if that, like that around the time when COVID happened or first began, and then we got paychecks from the government, or at least America did. It's kind of like it reminds me of that energy, that something helps fund you. Maybe you get like a contract too, or an agreement. There's some type of interaction with the Queen of Coins, the Queen of Pentacles, that allows this transaction to go through. And you could be a part of that. You could be in the Seven of Swords position, like at the Queen of Pentacles, trying to get out of this hardship, specifically with your finances, to get to the place that you need to be. Um, but as typical as it sounds, you're in the right place at the right time. And in the future, you're going to be in the right place in the right time if you just go with the motion, not just go with the motions like an everyday thing, but going with the flow. And if you feel that you have like a strong urge to do this, and also are educated in certain areas, because it does feel like there is a higher learning or education that comes into play. Um, if you're moving, it also has to do with di like what your diploma is, and I would look out for that too. It's almost as if better opportunities are in the next place that you go to. And I feel like that's one of the things that wasn't revealed to you. There's something about waking up, because to overcome the obstacle, the two cards are the Magician and the Three of Wands. See, with the Magician, because the rooster is there, it's almost as if igniting or needing to wake up in a certain situation, because the Three of Wands is like going to be your journey card, and then it looks like this person's already planning something with the map there and the globe. But it looks like he's concentrated on the wrong things, and he has so much on his table, so much on his plate, but he's doing everything else but the thing that he has to do. The obstacle is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords, it feels like it's in reverse, because there just seems like a grudge that was held. Like she remembers, or he remembers, that time when this person did this, that, and the third. And she's like, well, I'm waiting. As if she's like kind of waiting for the other person to come through, or he's waiting for the other person to come through. I'm not reading for genders. Where there was something that happened, where something was said that was like, I'm not talking to him or her unless he confesses, or unless he or she makes this right, because I'm gonna stand my ground, and I'm not gonna budge. And you best believe the Queen of Swords is not gonna budge. But it's in the obstacle and it's in reverse. So there might be, it feels like there's a little bit of pettiness out of this too. because with the next step again with the Three of Wands and the Magician, it could be not so easily resolved, but it does feel like something can be done to where things can be resolved in this situation. And I feel like that could be also what's affecting the finances too, because the first sin is pride if you are a Christian. Again, taking everything from different religions and spiritualities. Because in the present, it's like suffering with the Five of Coins and the Seven of Cups. Some things, again, you can't control, but there are other things that you might be able to control. And you might just be saying, well, I can't. With the Seven of Cups and the Five of Pentacles, there might be like some toxicity in your environment too. And if there's some that you could take out and choose, like with the Seven of Cups, a lot of times you're like choosing things. Um, to take out the pettiness of the Queen of Swords and to really realistically look at your situation and what's needed at that time. I feel like there's a lot of penny pinching too. There's just something that is hard on the finances, but again, in the future, I feel like it's not going to be a problem. But again, to not sit on your high horse and just like expect things to be different too. And then you have the Eight of Cups, the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Cups, which is interesting coming out of the Fairy Wicca. And the Three of Pentacles in here too, at the bottom of the deck. It's almost like you finally made your decision, and now it looks like a spiritual door that's being opened for you. Because it does feel like it's something that's linked with something that you just really wanted, and then maybe you were asking your guides or asking your higher power or asking your um again your higher power, your goddess or your god, and for this. And with this, it almost feels like there was a karmic link to it, like karma that's linked to the Seven of Cups in order to get to the Eight of Cups, in order to get past or leave this area, or certain things of what you needed to learn, or why certain things kept repeating itself. And because in the future, another extra card is the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups, it just feels like, because with the Five of Pentacles, it's a different element and a different suit. But it just feels like you're getting so much more than what you thought you were going to get, and it is a good thing. It's almost as if you're holding on to some things that you've had for a couple of years, like items in your closet or your house or something that finally has seen the light of day when you were about to move. And that could be linked to the beginning of the reading too, where um, once you have the opportunity, just bolt. If you drop something sentimental, don't pick it up. Just keep going. You'll get something better. It's fine. That old blanket that's been in the family for years, you're gonna be alive, so you can like buy another blanket. You can make your own blanket, and then this will be like the even better one because it represents a time too where this happened and you thought you were gonna be fucked, and it turns out you got out of the situation, and almost it kind of feels like scotch-free too, as if a lot of things could have happened in the situation, but it didn't. So you have the magician and the Wheel of Fortune. For some, it might be accepting assistance from an unexpected place, an unexpected person. There might be pride involved, but I would get past it because it could really benefit the situation. And if, especially if something is offered to you, somebody, especially if it's the kindness of somebody else's heart that's like offering it to you to help you, I would just take it because it's almost as if like um you're trying to help somebody and they're just like fuck you, and then you're just like fuck me. If you fuck me, who the fuck is gonna fucking help you? So it doesn't have to be as aggressive as that, but it kind of feels like that energy. Because it's like, I want to help you, or other people might want to help you, but if you're gonna act like that to me, it's like, oh, I didn't know it was offensive for me to help you, unless it's just your pride getting in the way of it. I just feel that this King of Cups is smiling, and the Sun card is smiling. And again, with the Ace of Cups, you have another Ace of Cups here. There is the Strength card, the Sun Child, and again, the King of Cups, and with the dolphins in the ocean and stuff. It feels like there's a comfort, especially with the dolphins, because it feels like there might be communication that was once lost, and it makes like a person really happy because it has McLear on there. And McLear is a giant in the Celtic lore who is the son of Maka the Owl Witch, or Maka, the goddess Maka. And McLear cried so much, the giant cried so much that there was so much water that the oceans were like overflowing, and Malka didn't want him to suffer anymore. So she turned her son to stone, and then that would be one of the islands that represent like Maclear. Because I reversed it for a second when I picked it up. It does feel like with the it also feels like location too, that it would make this person or the situation like so much bring so much happiness to the situation based off of the connection that they have with somebody. That kind of represents like the dolphin energy, like chattering, or echolocation, or like the type of communication that they have underwater, as if there was communication even without physically communicating. And this sunchild, it feels like the sunchild is at peace, as if it's like is basking or going through meadow like calmly on his horse. And with the strength card, the strength of will, it's almost as if it kind of feels like an initiation of entering this cave. And it's like kind of going to the abyss or overcoming that anxiety of, well, if I do this, what's going to happen? But you do it, and then it ends up being better than what you thought it was going to be. Like it's coming up with the courage to just go all in. And it kind of feels like that's what it leads to. The Ace of Cups, and that could also link to the King of Cups because it's an island too, and as I said with Maclear. I feel like good things are coming in the future. I'm also getting traditional too, because some definitions of the tarot, I'm not saying that you don't go by these definitions, but you or I like to read, um, like I like to see the interpretations of different creators' cards and kind of gently base it off of the system that I'm using. But there's a lot of like traditional meanings that I feel are more evident, as if there's a traditional mindset that's at play too. With the Seven of Wands and the Hanged Man, it almost kind of feels like a decoy, or it almost feels like somebody else kind of takes your place in that, in a way where, because the Hanged Man is usually depicted as somebody like actually being hanged, but it looks like there's like a person filled with, or like a something that's filled with hay or some type of matter that is like a decoy to the hanged man. And with this, the obstacles that you have to overcome with the Seven of Wands. We also have again the Five of Wands in the reading too. So it feels like some things are kind of being put to the side or ignored or not being addressed. Again, with the decoy energy, not wanting to work on oneself, not seeing things in a hanged man perspective, not doing the time. Because during the stillness, there's still some productivity, but it looks like you may have been productive in other ways, but some of the ways that you're still struggling with, you haven't gotten to. And what is that? So the card that came out is the Seven of Cups again from another deck, the Heaven and Earth Tarot. And this one says illusionary success. Also having one of the signs being Scorpio. And I feel like there's an intense emotion with a person or a situation and within oneself. Again, there feels like there's a lot of pride in this. And I'm not saying um, that it's not justified to feel the way that you're feeling, but it's not helping you either. And then it's the Queen of Pentacles. I cut the deck, coming up again. The Queen of Pentacles seems to be a more consistent energy, coming up twice in the reading. Could be the main character type of energy. Um, Not a character that leaves a series in a couple of seasons. Not like anything's wrong with those characters, but this feels like the Queen of Pentacles has a main character role, as if the plot kind of focuses around her in a way, or him in a way, where there's something that they need to follow through with or need to accomplish, um, or do throughout the series because there's a focus on them. And these cards, another um repeating court card, sorry, I keep saying it, is it's graphic. There's the Queen of Swords in this deck. Also with the Princess of Swords, the Page of Swords in this deck. The Ten of Swords and the Four of Cups. Ten of Swords, sorry. And then the Four of Cups, Decline. The Ten of Swords had Ruin. And the Princess of Swords had Scold. So it feels like with the Four of Cups, it's like you chose everything else besides the one thing that you actually wanted out of the Seven of Cups. That could be where the reversed Queen of Swords is coming out of. So both the court cards came out twice, and then there's a third court card, the Princess of Swords, which could feel like the link or the embodiment of their energy together. Um, Kind of feeling like both are in feminine energy, and again, I'm not reading for genders. You could be a male in dominantly feminine energy. It doesn't matter. And because with the Four of Cups, it's almost as if he chose other situations that didn't get him or her anywhere. And now with the Ten of Swords, it's like the person's feeling the heat for it. And with Kali, uh, once the Queen of Swords gets out of the reverse position, it's like going to be a complete turnaround because Kali isn't one to just make like small changes. And it may almost seem self-destructive in a outsider's point of view of why somebody is reacting the way that they are. With the Princess of Swords, well, you could say whatever you want to say, but there could be some things that get brought up that might be touchy. And I'm also getting, especially for this channel, we handle our losses with grace. They're not necessarily losses. Bigger and other things are opportunities, or people that come to us are the ones that are really meant to stay, or really meant to bring something into our life. And if something else passes on that, then it doesn't matter at that point. Because at the end of the day, you'll know that that just means that something better is out there. So, Erdna with the Queen of Pentacles again. So this is the third time she's showing up in the, sorry, the third time she's showing up in the reading. And this kind of feels like, because this is one of those historical goddess statues on there too, that's representing Ernda, and it just feels like big mama energy, because not in an offensive way by any means, but just like a term that, like, I got you. Like, you need my help, I'll be there. If you invite me somewhere and there's supposed to be a crowd, but nobody RSVP'd, I'll be the one that RSVPs to that. I'll be the only one, and then we can just make it a one-on-one thing. It doesn't matter to me, or it doesn't matter to the other person. Like, if you want somebody to show up, if you want consistency, the Queen of Pentacles is one to definitely have a consistent energy, and one to definitely follow through if you want her to do something or to be somebody to you. I mean, if you honestly deserve it. And it could be vice versa too. And then it's the Nine of Wands, defense. And this person is in a, looks like a kind of like a jail cell. This also feels like scorn dog type of energy too. That this person has been hurt so many times that if somebody or something comes near him, he'll be defensive or he'll bite. And I'll just pull out a couple more cards because it's going to be an hour. This kind of feels like, I guess, spiritual in a way, where it's the Eight of Wands and it's fall. And it's like Pegasus is like giving you basically the destination that you didn't ask for, basically. And it's like, but I told you I wanted to go here, and then they're just like, this is where you need to be, so that you'll start your journey here. And I'll pull out a final card out of the Slavic legends. And it's the moon. It feels like there could be a person or part of you or an area that is like a safe haven to you. Like, it's a deep sense of relief, or that's what she said. It's a deep sense of feeling like you belong, or there's a comfort and a deep connection that comes from the moon card, linked to the, looks like the Queen of Pentacles. She showed up the most in this reading. both of them showed up pretty consistently with the Queen of Swords too. And then there was the Princess of Swords, which I felt like was the embodiment of the interaction between the two. So I'll read the message from the Tree Angel Oracle deck. The oldest of the Norns, Destiny's loom, the yew lives at the source, the firstborn root of the tree of eternity. It is from here that the rainbow that holds the world together rises, and it is here that the true treasure of all legends lie. Wisdom, eternal youth, the secret riches of eternity itself, not the endless past, nor the interminable future, but the eternal present. The angel of yew is so deeply rooted in timelessness that the yew tree can easily outlive even the oldest linden. As long ago as the Stone Age era, the yew was the symbol of eternity and the dance of changing forms in nature and the power of self-rejuvenation. The yew is the great goddess's womb from which all life springs forth and to which all life returns after death to be born again. Since the yew leads the soul through the dance of forms, it has long been planted and summoned in graveyards. The gift of the yew, the archetypal mother, is transformation. Be ready to renew yourself in its world or the next, and to transcend your present boundaries. What is it that really matters in the face of death? Even death loses its thorns in all-consuming light of love. Only true change, motivated by love, matters. On which side of death's doorway this takes place is the secondary to love itself. This is cause for celebration as we are all safe and secure within the ever-changing dance of love. Without use strength, which is to see all aspects of life in relation to death and eternity, we lose ourselves completely. If we no longer if love no longer informs our consciousness, we become contaminated by fear. Fear of death translates into fear of life itself, fear of the unknown and of the night and of the future, fear of the knowledge, fear of true self. So we try to distract ourselves via consumerism, pleasure seeking, and abuse. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in another reading. Bye.